inclusion of women with disabilities from its agenda. As a result, I was asked to join its executive board as treasurer. However, without the support needed to succeed in such a demanding national role. As I struggled, as universe will have, I crossed paths with this glamorous woman at Women's College. She introduced herself. Hey, I'm Nancy. And when we talked, she immediately understood what institutions for many years have overlooked. Inclusion of disabled women or any marginalized group without support is not an inclusion. It's not an equality for all women. She understood the marginalization I was experiencing and many others were experiencing. And what grew from this was a relationship of mentoring. She shared institutional knowledge, history, and the unwritten rules of leadership, and made sure I could speak confidently for myself. She showed me time and again that leadership is not about recognition, but about responsibility and using our privileges to strengthen movements by lifting others. I have many fun times, and I think you all know Nancy has led her advocacy with humor, sometimes questionable, but truth and outspoken. So, Nancy Ruth, I know you do not speak accolades. You prefer to work quietly, and you have used your privileges all your life to help ensure that feminism thrives in Canada for generations to come. But today, it's important to say this very loudly. Thank you for opening doors using your privileges, sharing power instead of protecting it. And thank you for shaping a generation of leaders quietly, deliberately, and generously. Thank you for seeing women like me when others chose not to, and bringing us into these rooms where I don't think, coming from India, I would have ever imagined myself to be part of it. Your legacy lives not only in institutions you created, but also in ordinary women you supported. We all carry your vision and values forward every day. Thank you from all of us. Everyone, please join me in welcoming the Honorable Nancy Ruth to the stage.
Would you like to present this?
Yes. 5 minutes.
Well done, Meenu. That was really nice.
You liked it?
Yeah, I did. I don't want to go there. I'm much happier with this thing. Meenu, thank you. Lou, thank you too. Okay. So Marilou, oh God, Jesus. Marilou quoted section 28 of the Charter, and at the end of it, it says persons. It doesn't say people. And there's a reason, and that's called that statue out there that you got on the stone, called the persons case. And I want you to look at the ceiling and look at that end of that building, because the lawyer for those 5 women walked through this station on his way to the Supreme Court of Canada. And you're walking in the same place, and you're going to do just as big things as he did, and they did. I think there are a whole bunch of senators who have left, and for those of you who stayed, I got something to say to you, but for the rest of you who look young, to me, anyhow, get yourself active in politics, and whatever I've got to say, if your staffers, tell your senator, and so on and so forth. So really what I want to say to the independents is, for God's sakes, get yourself into a national caucus. I hear there's some discussion around here that the leader of the government in the Senate, I don't know what you call the post now, but you want him in cabinet. Well, sure, why not? But the rest of you, get yourself into a national caucus. And I'm going to give you some examples of what difference it made in me, because I came here as an independent. I think there were 7 of us. We were mainly called progressive conservatives in those days. Well, anyhow, Harper won the election. Paul Martin went out, who'd appointed me, so I joined Harper. Some of the things I could never have done if I'd stayed as an independent. For one, the national anthem. We had 4 women come back in body bags from Afghanistan, and they come off the ramp ceremonies at Trenton, and everybody's standing there singing in All Our Sons Command. Give me a break. There's something wrong with this, right? So I went to the Prime Minister, and I had done a little bit of research and discovered that in 1908, the original words were "in all of us." And it changed in 1913. Now, I told the Prime Minister that I suspected was because the men were going to war. There's nothing in the papers or anywhere that says any of this, but you know, Harper didn't ask if I was lying, and I wasn't going to tell him. So, you know, having access to a Prime Minister is kind of nice. So get yourself into a national caucus. Okay, so that's one story. Now that was 2010 when Harper put it in the throne speech, and then all kinds of trouble happened. And in 2018, I'd already left the Senate. I gave the bill to Francis Lankin and Chantal Petitclerc, the 2 of them. They just drove the thing right through. But it took 8 years. It's a long time. Okay, another example was when the trans bill was coming through. One of the things it did was to put trans rights into the... Mic not working? Oh, hold it up? Oh, you're strong. Okay, all right, here I go. So anyhow, the trans bill was including in sections 318 and 19 of the Criminal Code protection for them on hate speech. And I took a look at that with my staff, and you know what? Women weren't there. Oh, this section of the Criminal Code was about 30 years old, and the Liberals had made some decision somewhere way back then that, you know, if they put women in the category sex, we might sue them on pornography, all those MPs and everybody else that gave us trouble. Well, I'm sure we would have, but the time had come. So it was an NDP bill. I went to Mulcair and the NDP, they would not amend it. I went to the Liberals, who were nowhere then. You know, they were third party in the House. They had everything to gain. Kotler said, no, nobody would do it. So I went to Harper. But before I went to Harper, your good friend Mary Ebbert said to me, what are those men going to do when they transition to women? They're going to have rights, and as soon as they become women, they're going to lose their rights. So Mary won the day and encouraged me, and Harper put it in one of those horrible omnibus bills that we all hate. So if I hadn't been in the National Caucus, wouldn't have happened. What's my third story? Oh, gender-based analysis, you heard something about that? So I was in the elevator in the Victoria building with Sheila Fraser, who was the Auditor General there then, and I said to her, would you do a GBA analysis of 2 or 3 departments? With a twinkle in her eye, she said yes. And then I had to find out, what do I need to do to make it possible for her to do it? Well, it was the Finance Committee meeting, and I asked her, and she gave me 5 things I had to do. If I had not been a member of a national caucus, I would not have known the Conservative members sitting on the Status of Women Committee. I would not have, well, there were other members of the Commons who I also knew on that committee, because I often went to that committee here for hearing. And my staff drafted what they had to table, and we got it tabled, and the Auditor General was required to report. And that has gone on now. Every 5 years, the Auditor General is supposed to do a GBA plus analysis. Now, they've done 4, and the results of it is government departments aren't doing a very good job. So for those of you who are in the Senate, make sure you go and make sure that Auditor General is going to pull out the next one and do something what you want. And that's what I got to say. Join a national caucus. Thank you.